Your thoughts are not always true. Challenge them. Your thoughts are not always reality. Don't accept them at face value. When doubts appear, don't assume, investigate. When fear whispers, don't bow down, look closer. When negativity rises, don't believe, demand proof. Negativity thrives on blind acceptance. Negativity grows when you don't fight back. Because here's the reality. Negative thoughts will always arise. They'll always appear. No one in this world can never have a negative thought. But you can make sure that a negative thought never controls you.
So beyond your thought, you still exist. Beyond your emotion, you still exist. So that you, the life that you are, this has to come into your experience. Who you are right now, the most significant aspect is you and me are alive right now, this is it. What I'm thinking, what you're thinking is not the important thing. We are alive right now, that is the important thing. So, it is important that you focus on this fundamental sense of aliveness within you, and then you will see there is a natural distance between you and your thought process. Once there is a distance between your psychological process and your physiological process, this is the end of suffering. Because there are only two kinds of suffering that human beings go through, physical suffering and mental suffering. Once you create a little space between you and your mind, between you and your body, this is the end of suffering.
Now humans tend to overthink. There is a lot of not only unnecessary thinking that generates unnecessary and in many cases non-existent problems, such as when you lie awake at night in bed and start worrying. It generates a lot of unnecessary unhappiness. People don't realize that a significant part of the unhappiness in their lives is actually generated by unnecessary, negative, often destructive mind activity, and they don't even know it. The emotion is no longer controlling your thought activity. That's the key, and that's the beginning of the end of that vicious circle that otherwise will take over your life. So what is needed is for you to be there in the moments these thoughts occur, or immediately after, and then immediately look at the thought and say, there it's again. And do not believe it. Questions your thoughts. And that's a wonderful thing, so that you no longer believe every thought that comes into your head.
All of us have so many thoughts every single day, and I want to share a spiritual truth with you that is so important. You are not your thoughts. They're just visitors passing through your mind. You are not your thoughts. They're just noise, not the truth. You are not your thoughts. They're temporary, not permanent. Notice them, but don't let them define you. Name them, but don't give them your power. Watch them, but don't give them your identity. The moment you recognize them, they lose their grip. The moment you name them, they start to dissolve. The moment you see them clearly, you set yourself free.
Dealing with negative thoughts. No matter how good of a person you are, or how much faith you have, you'll never get to the place where negative thoughts don't come. Discouraging thoughts. Your dream is never going to come to pass. You'll never meet the right person. It would have happened by now. Thoughts of worry. The medical report's not good. Your child is off course. Business is slowing down. What are you going to do? The enemy's main tools are deception and lies. Your mind is the bullseye of his target. If he can control your thinking, he can control your life. You can't stop negative thoughts from coming, but here's the key. Just because a thought comes doesn't mean you have to think it. You control the doorway to your mind. You're in charge of what you give access to. Guard our minds. Be selective in what you allow in. I'm not saying to deny reality. I'm saying be selective in what you dwell on.
I'll tell you why your mindset is so important. Because so much of your potential is either limited or expanded by your mindset. When you feel more hopeful, or when you see options, and you start to tell yourself, well, why not? Why don't I just try it? That rosier mindset, it inspires you to take the actions that change your life. And it's the actions that matter. There are areas in your life where your own mindset is blocking you from taking action. This is not toxic positivity. I'm not asking you to put a positive spin on a shitty situation. I'm also very clear that thinking nice thoughts is not going to get your bills paid. However, if you can get serious and intentional and strategic about training your mind to have a rosier and more optimistic and empowered attitude, you, my friend, will be able to say to yourself, I can do this.
In a way, I think that feelings are, you need to look at them through the lens that they're kind of this, is that they're sort of like the surface paint. Like they're sort of the covering of what's actually happening. They do change the appearance, right? They change the appearance of what the plan is. They change the appearance of what the idea is. They change the appearance of what the relationship is. But there still is an underlying solid form behind the painting that you need to pay attention to. And so I think what the important part, the part that jams us up, is when, as Thomas Sowell put it, we confuse feelings with thought, right? We confuse emotion with logic. I think that's where we make mistakes. I think that's where people make mistakes.